Okay, so I'm doing the candid thing because I'm really tired and I don't really have the mental capacity to do a whole thing. So who knows if this is going to be a video or just whatever it is. So this morning, at 8 o'clock, I got into Boston City Hall, and there were already 5 people sitting around waiting, including Ed Flynn, to enter
And who is Ed
the
Flynn?
elections office. Ed Flynn is the District 1 city councilor. And to enter the elections office, and sorry, I've got my secretary here asking me some questions. So I walked in and I sat down and I kind of just sat around for a while. Didn't really talk to anybody. I just sat there, listened to some other people talk, which was kind of interesting. Get an idea of people are kind of familiar with each other. A lot of them work together. A large line starts to develop, especially like 8:45. They take us and line us up right in front of the door to the elections office, and then they have this whole queuing system, which was very nice and well done, honestly. And so they brought us up to the door. I was probably 6th in line, and I got there super early because I was told when I went in the first place that I should get there really early for collecting the nomination papers because there were going to be a ton of people waiting to get in line. So 8:50, they brought me up to the desk and they asked what my name was and just wrote it down, some information, basically said okay, this person picked up their papers already. I turn around and I get in line, and then they led us into this little conference room with 10 chairs, and we're all these candidates sitting around a table. I'm seated on my side right here, I guess from your perspective, and from my perspective too actually, is Erin Murphy, a city councilor at large, not but one of the 4 city councilors at large. She asked me what I'm running for, and I'm like, city council at large, what do you know? So that was interesting. And then next to her was Ed Flynn, right there. And then there were a bunch of other people around. Liz Braden was there, I know, just because I live in Alston. I don't know all of the city councilors by face, but probably there were some other city councilors in there. So anyway, they gave me a ton of stuff. They gave me, this is probably the most important thing. This was a guidelines page it says guidelines for 2025 municipal elections, and it's basically a guidelines page for how to run. Okay, quick cut. So here's the guidelines they gave me, which is basically just describes a bunch of different stuff about signatures and who can get signatures, and whose signatures you can get and stuff like that. And it's a lot of really good information, so appreciated. And they gave me a copy of where you're allowed to campaign on election day, which I obviously won't need for right now. It's basically just you can't. Oh no, this is for signs, where you can put signs, and then also campaigning within 150 feet of a polling location is prohibited. But I already knew that. Here's another copy of the election calendar. We got another copy of the city council district breakdown. They were gonna give us a physical copy of all of the voters in Boston, which would have been a ton of pages, a ridiculous number of pages, and I honestly, in this day and age, I don't know why anybody would even want to sort through all that. So yeah. So then they gave me. They also had me. They had me fill out and sign this thing that said oh, I've gotten all this stuff the way I'm supposed to get it. Let's see. They gave me a couple sample copies with my name on it. Oh, it says City Councilor at Large, Philip Ryan Kelso. But it's got all the other stuff, and this is basically just like a sample, like, application that's going to tell you everything that you need to know about, well, it's going to have, this is exactly what the actual forms look like. So actually, I can show you one of the actual forms. It just looks like that one, but without a giant word sample written on it. But yeah, I mean, they look like this. They're pretty just similar. It's just a bunch of boxes where you fill out your name, like signature of the nominator, current residence, and then you don't really need to fill out any of the other stuff. What?
You were off camera.
Oh, sorry, I had my.
Your face was completely.
I had that
blocked
covered.
by the folder.
It's basically got just signature of nominators and the current residence. Sorry, I'm wiped because of what I did right after work. I stepped out into the city and I walked around downtown for and I should show you, before I move on, I should actually show you the thickness of this package of, this is the package of signatures, like signature papers that they gave me. They said that this should have 6 times the number of papers that you need for all of the signatures that you need. So that's kind of insane to me, but, you know, whatever. 6 times the signatures it is. There's no way I'm ever going to collect 6 times the signatures, but I guess maybe some people do. So I went out and I walked around downtown, and I want to just kind of go through, I forget, where did I put the, like, thing with the actual papers on it? Here it is. So this is the clipboard that I use. I did not get any names on the back. I forgot that there was a back. And I collected a grand total of 22. And this is even, like, before even looking at, like, whether the handwriting is good or anything. Actually, I know I didn't collect 22 on this page. I collected 21. So 21 plus 18 is 39. 39 over the course of basically 3 hours. I mean, I think it's fair to say 3 hours, but man, like 3 hours for 39 signatures, even 40 signatures, even 50 signatures, that would be crazy. Because if you think about it, I need 1,500 signatures, and I need to collect them before May 20th, so I have 20 more days. So that means you take 1,500 divided by 20, that's 75. So I would have to collect 75 signatures a day on my own. But with more people, you know, you could collect more signatures, and if there's a special event going on, you might be able to collect a lot of signatures. So it's not, like, entirely impossible, but it's just really difficult. So, I mean, let me just talk a little bit about some of the people I met, though, and the experience I had. So I started over in Boston Common, and the first signature that I got was from someone who was kind of skeptical, honestly, but they signed the signature, and I kind of described my stuff, and I heard a little from them about how they feel about the Boston Police Department and about the City Council, and I was like, okay, this is really, I mean, this is, like, nice to hear, and, like, this is kind of what I was looking for, is, like, get to know people. But anyway, I was grateful for the first signature that I collected, so I started to walk around a little more. I walked around on the grass in Boston Common, and it was just, like, I kept coming up blank. I ran into a lot of people who are college students, and so I was like, okay, maybe this is not the spot to be at. So next I walked down. So like some of these people, like yeah, I started like walking down towards like the State House actually, and then even like further down, sort of on the north side of Boston, up towards the North End, but like towards North Station first. And I ran into some cool people. I mean, there were some very nice people. The more signatures that I started to gather, there were a lot of people who were very encouraging. There were some people who would walk up to me and just be like, hey, like, you know, you're running for the city council. And I'd be like, hey, yeah, I need a signature. And they'd be like, sure, I'll give you my signature. Like, there were probably like 10 or 12 people who were just like, sure, I'll give you my signature, whatever. There were a couple of people who were like, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm running as an independent. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. And the spiel that really worked well on people, and that resonated with people, and that also matches what I'm trying to do, is that I want to just run, and I'm not going to try and say stuff to get elected. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try and frame myself. I'm just going to say what I think, and if people like it, they can vote for me. If they don't like it, then don't vote for me. It's as simple as that. And when I said that, even people who seemed a little skeptical about, who are you, like, what's your policies, they still would sign, because it's just, to me, that's like a very basic principle. It's just like, well, you don't have to vote for me. It's just to get me on the ballot. Yeah, so anyway, I walked down the street. I ran into some people that I talked to about that kind of stuff. I ran into, just like looking down the list of names, trying to remember. I had this one run-in. I even got razzed by some people. So yeah, some people, like, you walk past, most people you walk past, they say, oh no, or they just ignore you completely, or they say, I'm not interested, or they say, so I would ask, like, do you live in Boston? And then, if yes, are you registered to vote in Boston? So a lot of people would say, no, I don't live in Boston. A lot of tourists. A lot of people would say, it would be really funny when someone would say no in like an obvious like Australian accent or something like that, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure, right. But great, lovely people, but yeah, I can't get your signature, unfortunately. So then I asked people if they're registered to vote in Boston, and they said yes, they were. And then yeah, it would be like a lot of different kinds of like rejection. There were even people who would ask like, oh, what do you think? Like I ran into somebody who asked me, oh, what do you think of Josh Kraft? And I was like, or I think he said like, are you more for Kraft or Wu? And I was like, well, I'm more on like Mayor Wu. I would vote for Mayor Wu over Josh Kraft. And he was like, so he didn't give me a signature. The worst incident of this was somebody who I ran into, and I should have honestly known. Like you start to like, it's not like profiling people. It's just getting a sense of like, oh, this person doesn't want to be bothered. Every time I saw somebody with headphones in, I didn't even bother like interacting with them, which maybe is a preconceived notion. Maybe they would have taken their headphones out. I just didn't want to bother people, So anybody with headphones in, I didn't bother them. There were these two kids who I tried to like bother like random people. Like I ran into some guys like playing pickup basketball in the North End. That was awesome. I did talk to these two kids though who were drinking beer on the street. So that honestly probably should have told me something just in and of itself. Just completely out in the open, and with plastic see-through cups, like not even like a beer, not even like a beer in like a plastic, a paper bag. They were just drinking like obviously beer out of plastic cups. So I walked up and I was like, hey, like, can I get your signature? And the one guy was like, no, you can't. The other guy was like, oh, I'll give you my signature. And then he turns to me and he says, are you for the gays? And I was like, what kind of question is that? So I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. I don't know what you mean. And he's like, oh, I can't have that. And he's like crossed out my name. And they walked away like, they'd just played the most epic prank on me. It was hilarious. So yeah, but I actually do have his name still. He like wrote his name down. He wrote his whole name down before crossing it out. So I'm gonna reveal his name publicly. Right? Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I ran into a bunch of people, just like people in groups of one or two. I would stop, and that would be great. I also ran into like some groups of people where like maybe one of them was a registered voter in Boston, all the rest of them weren't. So I would get the one that was registered voter in Boston, and some of the other ones might say like, "Oh, like keep doing what you're doing, man. Like, keep fighting the good fight, whatever." So it's great. It was nice to just meet a bunch of people. Trying to like go through, see if there's any other names that strike my. There were a couple of people that I ran into and gave me like directions about like where to go. So I had people suggest go to Sullivan, go to Copley, go to Mission Hill, which is I spent a lot of time there because of Northeastern. So of course I would go back there. And so yeah, I even got some suggestions as I was in the process, which was very, very cool. Yeah, one guy was just super awesome over in Seaport. So yeah, I walked in the north end, I walked down back to Seaport, and in the end, yeah, like after 3 hours, I collected this many signatures. There was one guy in particular, I don't know, I forget which name he was, but there was one guy who I walked up to, and he was like, "What do you think of Donald Trump?" And I was like, I don't really, like, I'm not big on him. And the guy he was with was like, "All right, come on, man, let's go. But I kind of kept talking to him. He kept, like, asking me, he's like, "What don't you like about him?" I was like, "Well, he's encroaching on civil liberties, he's encroaching on the power of the government. All the most obvious stuff." So, and then he was like, "Okay, I understand." And then I just started talking to him more. I was like, "Look, I'm here because politicians just say things to get elected and then don't really do anything. And, that people can vote for what they actually believe in, and if they believe in what I believe in, they vote for me, and if they don't, then they don't. But not based on this vague idea of a person that's not even real. It's based on the ideas, and it's based on you as a person and what you're bringing to the table as your authentic version of yourself, not as this like PR machine." So he really appreciated that enough to where he just signed my paper. Maybe you could say like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have spent that much time just like talking to this guy." I think I was talking to him like 2 or 3 minutes. But to me, it was worth it, because I get a perspective of somebody else. So let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, there were just a lot of really cool people, like so many that I didn't even mention. So many cool interactions, and very nice people too, like people who are super like happy to talk. And there's more of them than you would really expect. There are a lot of people who were just like, "Oh, I have somewhere to be. Like, sorry, I would sign." There were some people who actually seemed like upset. Like they were like, "Oh, I wish I could sign, but I gotta go." I was like, "Okay, go ahead." So you get like an event where people are just kind of hanging out, and you could probably get a lot more signatures. But the point is, it was a lot of fun. And not only that, but I also need more other people to help me collect signatures. So this is my kind of call to action for this video, is that I really need people to help. I'm not going to be able to do it all myself. As much as I would love to be out here collecting signatures for 168 hours a week, I'm not going to be able to do that with everything else that I have in my life. I got a full-time job. So yeah, if there's anybody out there who's at all interested, and be sure I'm going to be reaching out and just asking people too. So if you're watching this and you're like, I might ask you later, so maybe you reach out first. It'll be like, hey, I'm with you. I was thinking of doing something where there's like a leaderboard of people collecting signatures, and the top person gets I don't know what they get. They don't get anything, but they get the right to call themselves the top signature getter. So that's kind of fun. Oh, I did want to talk about one more anecdote. Was I ran into some people who were campaigning for Josh Kraft and collecting signatures for Josh Kraft. So I walked up to them. I was basically, what I said was, I just come out and I say, hey, I'll sign your thing if you sign my thing. And the girl says, okay, she takes it and she's like, oh, but I'm not a registered voter in Boston. And I was like, oh, well. She's like, well, hold on, I can take you to this other person. She took me. There were like 5 people out there in Seaport. Good on them. And she takes me over to this other girl, and she's like, okay, I'll sign your, thing. And so I signed it, and I signed Josh Kraft's nomination papers. I don't know, even though I disagree with Josh Kraft, I think everybody should be able to run. So, and he's gonna get the signatures anyway, so whatever. I'm not maybe just gonna get the signatures. So every signature for me is worth like twice. It's worth like 1,000 times the signatures for Josh Kraft. And it'll take 1,000 times more hard work and dedication to get. Maybe not 1,000 times, but you know what I'm saying. Is there anything I'm leaving out? Do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
I've been very riveted.
Yeah.
And sitting in my place, sitting in my seat by your story.
Yeah.
There was a half-hour training for.
The training. Papers. The training was basically just going over the information that's in like the packet that they gave out, and then saying like, okay, you have to like circle that you've gotten this nomination paper and this one and this one and this one and this one. So I just circled all the things that they told me to circle, and then I signed it, and I dated it, and then I left. It really wasn't, I don't think it was even half an hour. I think it was like 20 minutes. It really wasn't that long. So, yeah.
And you confirmed with the office that you only have until May 20th to collect these signatures?
Yeah, it's only until May 20th.
So there's 21 days for people to collect between 500 to 1,500 signatures.
Yeah, well, some of them, so district city councilors only need to collect 200 signatures. But, yeah, I mean, 1,500 is a lot. 1,500 is the amount that I have to collect. Mayor has to collect 2,000 signatures. They have to collect 100 signatures a day. So I only have to collect 75 signatures a day. So really, I'm the lucky one here.
And I think that we are also looking for a social media manager.
Oh yeah, we're looking for a social media manager. So if you are good at social media, then we need you to be a social media manager. And then yeah, I'll repeat the other call to action. Please come out and help me collect signatures. You can even do it on your own. I can give you these papers. And you can stop, Alexa. I can give you these papers. Stop.
Here are some results.
She's listening. I can hear. Is that you, Josh? Oh no, it's just copyrighted material. Get out of here. Okay. What was I even saying?
Call to action. Call
to action. Nomination papers. Okay. If you would like to come and help me gather signatures, please, please, please. You don't even have to come with me. You can just do it on your own. On your own free time. Go out for a few hours. You get like 40 signatures. Do it in your neighborhood. Do it where you live, or go somewhere new. Check out a new neighborhood. It has to be in the city of Boston. I can give you more information, if you contact me by email, by phone. A lot of you know me already, so you know how to get in touch with me. Yeah, come out, because it's really fun, honestly. It's invigorating. Having a reason to just talk to random people on the street, for me, it may not be the same for everyone, but for me, it's very invigorating, and I think it's very important to talk to people and get to know people and figure out what people in this city really care about and really want. So if you are interested in that, please get in touch with me. And I think that's kind of everything. So, have a good night. Goodbye.